Investigation agency has arrested 7 foreign nationals linked to a terror conspiracy. Among them were 6 Ukrainians and an American. The agency reportedly claims that the group was involved in illegally routing large consignments of drones from Europe to Myanmar through India. RT India's Rhythm Arcadia has the details.
The National Investigation Agency, which primarily is India's counter-terrorism agency, has in fact taken all of them in custody at this point in time under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Now, they're being accused of plotting terror activities, obviously also training militants, and also violating immigration law by, in fact, going into a state like Mizoram, which is restricted for foreign nationals unless they have special permits. So the American who has been arrested at the Kolkata airport has been identified as Matthew Aaron Van Dyke. Now, he's an international security analyst and also a foreign fighter. 6 Ukrainians have also been arrested from Lucknow airport and also Delhi airport. Now, according to the FIR, these Ukrainians were a group of 14 people who had in fact entered India on tourist visas. They had then illegally entered into Myanmar and to train the ethnic armed group in drone warfare. Now, reports says that that NIA believes that these groups were in fact also carrying large consignments of drone from Europe. And they carried it to the people and groups in the region. Now, these groups have been known to have supported the insurgent groups in India and also in Myanmar. Now, agencies are also trying to figure out their larger motive, and NIA is also examining the seized mobile phones of the accused to figure out the full conspiracy and also the source of funding from where exactly they were being funded. Now, investigators are also probing if these individuals were also involved in any of the ongoing conflicts, including Russia-Ukraine war, where drones have been used extensively. Now, obviously, this is not the first time such concerns have surfaced. Mizoram's CM has, has in fact earlier also warned that the people involved in foreign conflicts may in fact be using the state as a transit route to enter Myanmar. Take a look.
We have specific intelligence that Ukrainian war veterans traveled to Myanmar's Chin state via Mizoram to train rebel outfits fighting the military junta.
Now, Myanmar's ongoing conflict obviously involves several ethnic armed groups near India's borders, including Chin National Front, Kachin Independence Army, and also Arakan Army. Now, these have been fighting the military junta since the coup in 2021. Now, drones are increasingly being used in the area in Myanmar for surveillances and also for low-intensity attacks. Now, the NIA suspects that the accused may have, in fact, also helped in training and providing access to those drones specifically. Now, India obviously shares 1,600-kilometer-long border with Myanmar, and the NIA says that after the investigation, they'll be able to figure out if, if there is a bigger or a larger network operating, and the probe will be crucial for the safety and security of the region in India's northeast frontier.
Following the crackdown, Ukraine has responded, raising concerns about off-limit areas being poorly marked at ground level.
The Ukrainian diplomatic mission remains in constant contact with the relatives of the detained Ukrainian citizens. We draw attention to the fact that there are certain restricted access zones in India for foreign nationals, entry to which is possible only with special permits. At the same time, proper marking of such areas on the ground is often absent, which creates a risk of unintentional violation of the established rules.
I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, the chief of Air Force, our senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains, the top terrorist chieftains of this tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares. This is meant to enable the brave people of Iran to celebrate the Festival of Fire. So celebrate and Happy Nowruz. We're watching from above.
هاي اللي هذا الطيران هذا ايش بيه؟
هي علي
طيارة
طيارة ايه طيارة طلعوا جيت لك والله طيارة لك ما بينت
هي هاي
It was just last week that Ali Larijani, Iran's top security official, was seen in public at a rally in Tehran, defying threats against him by Israel and the United States. Ali Larijani spent decades at the center of power in Iran, a conservative strategist who helped shape the Islamic Republic from within. On Tuesday, Israel's defense minister claimed Larijani was killed in an Israeli airstrike. His death would remove a veteran operator from the inner circle of power, and it comes as Israel intensifies its strikes on Iran, targeting not just military infrastructure, but senior figures tied to Iran's leadership. His death could further harden Iran's response and push both sides deeper into a widening regional conflict. And it would remove a skilled negotiator who could potentially help end the war. Who replaces him as the top security official could also signal a hardening of the regime. Born into one of Iran's most influential political families, dubbed the Iranian Kennedys by Time magazine, Larijani was also a mathematician and philosopher who wrote books on the Enlightenment thinker Immanuel Kant. He rose quickly after the 1979 revolution, becoming a trusted figure in the system. He served as Speaker of Parliament for 12 years, overseeing key legislation during some of the country's most turbulent periods. Before that, he held a series of high-profile roles: head of state broadcasting, Iran's top nuclear negotiator, and later a senior advisor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In that advisory role, Larijani helped shape Iran's approach to nuclear diplomacy, including during high-stakes standoffs with the United States. Often described as a pragmatic conservative, he was seen as a bridge between factions, navigating the space between hardliners and more moderate voices, while remaining firmly loyal to the system. But his record was also marked by controversy. The United States sanctioned Larijani earlier this year, accusing him of playing a role in the violent suppression of nationwide protests and of calling for force against demonstrators. Despite shifting political winds, Larijani remained a key figure in Iran's strategic decision-making, particularly on national security.
If you see the images of this missile coming in, you can see that it is a very large missile with many submunitions. And one of the missiles Iran has used is the Khorramshahr missile, which can carry up to 80 of those smaller bomblets. I do want to show you a little bit more of some of the damage here, because in addition to that balcony, there is also this area on the floor here where you can see bits of concrete, a damaged scooter, damaged vehicles around here, all of this from just one of those small bomblets. And so consider the fact that there could be up to 80 of those falling indiscriminately over multiple miles in this Tel Aviv area. The Iranians showing that despite how much Israel has degraded their ballistic missile capabilities, they're finding new ways, including through the use of these cluster.
We don't need help. You know, that war has been long prosecuted as far as I'm concerned, almost from day one. We knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy essentially in a couple of days. But I was surprised to see that NATO, while they agreed that it was a very important thing to do, they agree fully. Nobody said, oh, you shouldn't do it. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month of when we had the B-2 bombers bomb the nuclear potential. I call it the nuclear dust. So I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. And I've long said that, you know, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test.
We were sitting in the safe room after having an alarm. After around 4 minutes, we heard a loud boom. We waited a few more minutes and we went out to check the damages. It's not the first time that we suffer from falling of damages and from all the rockets in the last 2 years. We went outside, we saw a big hole.
راح تضرب الفندق، ضربت الفندق. وقعد 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 وقعد.
Here's Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a coffee shop, making it clear he is not AI, he's not got sick.
There's no let-up in the war for the United Arab Emirates. A fire broke out at Dubai International Airport after a drone-related incident. It's the third time that airport has been affected by the war. And even though authorities are saying that the fire was contained and there were no injuries, it is the world's busiest airport for international passengers, and some
Your two options might dictate your answer to my next question as we wrap things up here. When do you see an end to the war, Charles? Give me a timeline that you have in your mind.
I think we're probably looking at another couple of weeks before oil prices are so high. Iran has been hit so much that they're ready to say, hey, let's call it quits.
Jason, any predictions from you?
I think I'm in general agreement. I think the strategic loss for the U.S. is to have the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz remaining largely in the hands of Iran in terms of who can come in and out.
His third blackout within 4 months. Large parts of the island are without power after the aging national electricity grid collapsed again. The U.S. has imposed an energy blockade after Donald Trump warned of tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba. Washington is calling for new leadership in Cuba, with Trump saying that launched an appeal after losing the final match. The appeal board says Senegal forfeited when the team walked up the pitch in protest at having a penalty awarded against them. Senegal called the decision unjust and says it will dispute the ruling. OK, we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. News continues at the top of the hour.
Had drone activity here in Baghdad's Green Zone, where the U.S. Embassy is located tonight, and we understand that 2 drones are intercepted, whilst a third disappeared off radar. The anti-aircraft, the SUIRAM system, has been very active tonight. In fact, we were standing where I am right now, and we saw the anti-aircraft go up, and then a series of loud explosions. Now we understand that some debris has fallen across the capital here in the area of Al-Dura. Shrapnel fell on a university compound, causing damage to windows and infrastructure. And in Al-Jadariya, near the central bank, we understand a fire has broken out, where debris from an aerial object, authorities say, has fallen near the main gates, causing a fire. And there's still more information coming in. And what this really shows is that there is this constant threat. There's really
progress have you made, Mr. President, in getting America's allies to assist the U.S. in escorting those oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. I was watching over the last couple of weeks, and all of our NATO allies were very much in favor of what we did. They thought it was very important. We were just discussing it, actually. Very important that we take out the nuclear threat from Iran, and we've done that very strongly, very powerfully. We've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their military in every aspect. Their Air Force is now decimated. They have no Air Force, no Navy. They have no radar. Their radar is entirely gone. Their anti-aircraft machinery is gone. Everything is gone. Their leaders are gone. I guess one of their top person was, they say, a lot of people say their actual top was killed yesterday, along with somebody else who was responsible for the killing. The man that was responsible for the killing of 32,000 people over the last 2 weeks, he was in charge of the killing of protesters. It's an evil group. I mean, they've killed much more than 32,000 people. And the man who was responsible for that was also killed yesterday. And all of the NATO allies agreed with us, but they don't want to, despite the fact that we help them so much, we have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world, and they don't want to help us, which is amazing. I mean, amazing. And I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they probably would be. But we don't need help. You know, that war has been long prosecuted as far as I'm concerned. Almost from day one, we knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy.
Ali Larijani was last seen in public on Friday during a government rally in Tehran. Proof to Iranians that their government was still functioning and unafraid. Today, Israel killed him. Prime Minister Netanyahu announcing it, saying, "We are undermining the regime with the hope of giving the Iranian people a chance to remove it." Larijani was a hardliner with a $10 million U.S. bounty on his head.
This morning, we got news regarding the nation's counterterrorism director resigning.
He wrote in his resignation letter basically that he could not continue to serve because of his opposition to the war against.
This morning, we got news regarding the nation's This morning, we got news regarding.
Progress have we made, Mr. President, in getting America's allies to assist the U.S. in escorting those oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. We don't need help. You know, that war has been long prosecuted as far as I'm concerned. Almost from day one, we knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy essentially in a couple of days. But I was surprised to see that NATO, while they agreed that it was a very important thing to do, they agree fully. Nobody said, oh, you shouldn't do it. I think NATO's making a